This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Let me joined from Germany by Kalle Sauerland today. Kalle, been a while. How are you?
How are you, mate? You doing well?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for asking. Now, as I mentioned, Wasserman have a show out in Germany this weekend. Dennis Radovan back in action. Christina Hammer. Sophie Alish, one of the hottest young talents in female boxing as well. A big selection of German talent getting out and getting back in the ring this weekend.
Yeah, Leon Bonn as well, 17-0 light heavyweight, top 10 in the world. So, yeah, no, I mean, Germany's on the cusp. It's exciting because we've got obviously Germany this week, London next week, and goes into a busy period for us. So yeah, it's nice. We've got fans back in as well. Expect a great atmosphere tomorrow night. I know UK fans are used to more sterile German crowds, but Cologne is a bit different. It's a cool venue. I guess it's Germany's version of a sort of your call style venue. It's very close, very packed, standing places, and lots of local fans for Dennis Radovan. Obviously, big fight. He's number 4 in the world IBF. Christina Hammer, 3-time world champion. I know she wants that rematch with Clarissa Shields desperately, and it's a great card. And Sophie Alish, you touched on. We all know Sophie. We've all seen her fantastic training videos on Instagram, but she is such a talent. Still only just turned 20. Amazing fights. A WBC Prospect of the Year twice, and then you got Leon Bonn, who's also who's done a bit of drifting up and down between sort of super mid and light heavy. He feels now light heavy's the right one. He was ranked, I think, number 5 or 6 at light heavy before. He'll get his ranking back now. He's decided his weight class. So, top 10 light heavyweight, 17-0 is also a fantastic prospect. Germany's full of that. I mean, if you look at, we did a show last month in Berlin with Abbas, obviously EUBANK-BROOK, trained by Adam Booth, and he's if you look at them in terms of amateur pedigree, he's the pick of the lot because he was obviously 3rd in the World Championships 2017, and he's also European champion as an amateur. So, he's the best on amateur pedigree. That you've always got to do that in the pros. And if you look at also Patrick Wojcicki, number 3. So you've got 4 or 5 Germans in the top 10 again. No German world champions at the moment. So Germany's definitely gone through a bit of a dip in boxing, and we're here to liven that up. And this is our 3rd show here in 4 months, so slowly coming back. It's a lot slower than the UK. It's probably the first time we're going to have over probably 1,500 fans in there tomorrow night making noise, and that's nice. It is a lot slower than the UK. A lot of restrictions here still and stuff like that, but it's getting better.
So we're on Dennis Radovan. You touched on it there. His IBF European title has kind of allowed him to come up these rankings. He's 4th with the IBF at the minute. I believe number 2 is vacant right now as well in the IBF rankings. So all being well, Dennis wins. Are you expecting him to move into a 1/2 kind of position here?
Well, I think we've got number 3 as well. Patrick Wojcicki's with us, so there's an obvious final eliminator to be made there. Falcao is the mandatory. But can you honestly see Golovkin fighting Falcao in the twilight of his career? I don't see too many networks signing a big check, which Golovkin would correctly demand at this stage of his career for a fight like that. There's all sorts of rumours that Canelo's already done. And if that's the case, the belt becomes vacant. He'll have a certain time. He might even be allowed to do the Canelo fight and hold on to the belt. But I mean, Golovkin's a great sportsman. I don't know what he would do that for whatever reason. So I'm pretty sure that belt becomes vacant sooner rather than later. And then, depending on timeline, you'd either have Falcao against Wojcicki, who's currently number 3, or you'd have an eliminator between Radovan and Wojcicki. So to fight Falcao. So it's an exciting time, and you definitely see a German boxing for a world title this year, and that's of course very important. So mustn't forget, we always talk about the UK and the US. Germany's a huge market, and one that now I think is on the cusp again of having those 3, 4, 5 world champions that it's had, over the last few decades. If if you think about the likes of, Arthur Abraham, Sven Ottker, Marcus Bayer, Henry Masker, great German world champions, just to name a couple. Marco Huck, of course, in the past as well. So it's an exciting country for boxing when there's success. It's like anything. It ain't flying at the moment, but this crop of fighters is exciting. Our stable's not big in Germany, but it's 8, 9 fighters now, compared to, let's say, 20. In the peak years, but that's also, those 8, 9, 5 of them are in the top 15 of the world. So we've gone for sort of quality over the quantity, and that I think is the right strategy here at the moment.
Someone in a very interesting position, Kalle. Christina Hammer. We obviously saw an undisputed super middleweight champion crowned just last week. Marshall Shields we're expecting at middleweight as well. Could have another. Good options for her to potentially be at 160 or 168 and have an undisputed fight in the near future.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, don't forget, she's a 3-time world champion. She's held 2 belts at once. She's a very, very motivated lady. Incredible training ethos about her. Knows how to be a champion, and is someone who is at the very, very top of the sport. So you look where there's the winner of Shields and Marshall go, and it's certainly in her direction would be one that would make sense. But there's female boxing is flying at the moment. It's not. It was a great fight last weekend. Really was fantastic. But I think Shields Marshall is a great fight as well. So Christina's there, and we're going to make sure we're banging that drum.
Kalle, got to ask you about Filip Hrgovic. Obviously, he's meant to fight Zhang Zhilei this weekend. Unfortunately, read the news that his father had passed away, and understandably, his mind just hadn't been on boxing with everything he's had going on. How is Filip, all things considered?
Well, I think Filip's the sort of guy who would get into the ring with 2 broken legs. Yeah, so especially on this fight. So the eliminators delayed till the summer, and that's just the way it is. It's nothing. It's such a personal subject. His father was a fantastic man, a guiding light. Like most fathers should be in any son's lives, but with him, it was. I remember meeting him the first time actually at the announcement presser when we signed, and just a great man, and Filip was very, very close to him, and unfortunately passed away just in the very crucial part of his training camp, to put it that way. But it was also for a long time, and it's something that is very personal, and at the end of the day, we just wish Filip all the best, and his thoughts and prayers obviously with his family. But at the same time, you've got to take those big chances. You got to be in the right frame of mind, and also be able to complete a training camp. So it was really a no-brainer.
Obviously, that was meant to be on the Canelo Bivol card, Kalle. I got to ask you, people keep talking about Canelo Alvarez, who between 160 and 175 is the guy who can beat Canelo Alvarez. Could Dimitri Bivol be that guy?
No.
How do you see the fight playing out?
Sorry, I don't see Bivol beating him. I like the way they're talking now, but I don't know. I just think Canelo is. I saw Bivol against I think it was Richards in Manchester. I wasn't impressed at all. I know that the argument will be, well, you get up for certain fights, you don't get up for other fights, but I just don't see anything in his armory that he could absolutely trouble him one bit. I think the selling point was that he has never been on the floor. That's nice, but I think Canelo is he's head and shoulders above Bivol, in my opinion. But I'll probably be proved wrong, and it'll be a super fight, and there's the upset of the century. And I wish them all a happy Cinco de Mayo. I'm sure it'll be a tremendous. It's always a tremendous event when you've got Cinco de Mayo, you've got a Mexican superstar, and that's fantastic. It's great for the sport, because at the end of the day, he is a superstar. He is a superstar in one of the most important countries of the world for boxing, and in one of the most important regions of the world of boxing. People forget how big boxing is in Mexico. It's it's probably one of the only countries where football comes second. Yeah. I don't get clever viewers. I know that in America football ain't all that, but I'm talking about in American football in America is of course bigger than boxing. But all jokes aside, in Mexico it's religion, boxing. There's not a kid who don't lace up clubs practically. So to have that sort of a pinnacle is we talk about how important the heavyweights are for boxing, and I totally agree. I think that's to get in the sort of casuals into boxing. I think the heavyweights fantastic. We saw that recently. Fury, we'll see that with AJ or Usyk AJ Part 2 as well. But let's not make any mistake that you need big Mexicans in the business. It's simple as that. The media companies in the States look for it, and that's vital for our business and anyone who's involved in boxing. So indirectly, we all prosper from having the big Mexican superstars in the sport. And it's Canelo all the way for me. I think he's fantastic for the sport, and I like Ryan Garcia as well. I think he's another one who of Latino origins who seems to have developed this sort of a cult following amongst young people. I mean, I had a mate's daughter asked me recently, could you get me a signed autograph from Ryan Garcia? And I thought, how random is that? I mean, and I'm like thinking, what is this? And then I was informed that he's got this huge online following almost. It's crazy because I mean, in the boxing world, we talk about Ryan Garcia, but he's certainly not on a pecking order with Canelo. But I guess in the social media world, he's the number one almost. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, no, that's cool.
Something I want to get your thoughts on with Canelo. This week, he's kind of entertained the possibility of fighting Usyk at 201 pounds for the heavyweight titles one day. That's been discussed. Do you believe that's a fight that could happen, or do you think this is just talk?
He's talked about the cruiserweight. Canelo Breedis, that'd be a tough fight. I think even at Breedis, he's just going to be too big for him, and you've seen the skillfulness of the cruiserweights, Breedis, Usyk, Dorticos, Gassiev. When they got to heavyweight, it's obviously another step up. Now Usyk's mastered that very well, albeit in one fight. I know he fought Derek, and for me, and he had, I think he had a tune-up before that, but which he didn't look great in either. He didn't, for me, Del Boy buzzed him, and people will argue with me here, but Joshua let him off the hook as well. We can all talk about the fantastic performance, but Joshua did let Usyk off the hook. If Joshua was, for me, like before that Ruiz fight, when he threw his right hand without thinking about it, he would have won that fight against Usyk without a shadow of a doubt. And there you see also the difference that it makes between that big man and that slightly bigger man. And I think there's a limit to what Canelo can do. Let's not forget where Canelo started. Right? So he's gone through 1, 2, 3, 4. Was it 5 weights now, or was it 6 weights? I'm trying to work it out. I think 6 weights. So it's phenomenal. And he keeps on going up and doing it, and that's great, but there's always that bridge too far, and I think that Breedis, I think Breedis would stop him even. I just think it's just too big, put them next to each other. You almost saw it, in certain fights when he fight like I fought like Callum Smith. It's the height difference, but Callum, I've promoted Callum. I know the frame he carries is not a frame. You stand next to a man like Usyk or Breedis, they're just different beasts at cruiserweight, So I think it's in fact, and that's not knocking Canelo. It's not, but it's just I think that's the bridge that don't get crossed. I think this is the bridge that can and will get crossed on Saturday, but no, I think that's the limit.
Kalle, been a few weeks since we saw each other at Wasserman HQ. You told me then that a weight had been agreed for Chris Eubank Jr. and Kell Brook. It was just kind of over the money side of things. Yeah. Where are we at with Chris Eubank Jr.?
And I did say that with a cheeky smile, and if you remember, and I said, well, the only small factor is now the money. Well, it's sort of gone cold, and we've sort of moved on. To be honest, I don't think that Brook wants to fight. I don't think he wants that fight. That's my opinion. But those negotiations with Brook are led by Sky and by Boxer. We haven't had any contact with Brook directly. That's all done via them. You know, I think our demands are quite simple. I don't think there's going to be an issue there. But yeah, it's for me, and I don't blame Kel. I just don't think he wants to fight Chris Eubank Jr. That's my gut feeling. So we move on, and we're already looking at other things right now. So and I'm not going to tell you those right now because I'm going to jinx anything. But yeah, the plan is still to get him out this summer. You know.
Mm-hmm. I know you don't want to mention any names because you're working on things in the background. But does this have to be a mega fight for Chris Eubank Jr. in the summer?
Yeah, I think Eubank Jr., like I've said before, take out the big boys at heavyweight. He's the number one attraction in the UK. You know, there's no other boxer who makes headlines like he does in the UK outside of the heavyweights. You know, there isn't one. You know, we can go through all of them. There's no one else. You know. I mean, Kell Brook against Khan was obviously an attraction because they've been waiting so long to fight, but that's really it, isn't it? I mean, you've got a bit of Conor Benn, who's building his career up very nicely, and you know, Buatsi, who's on a good path, but there's no one on the level of Eubank outside the heavyweights. So, you know, of course, I think every fight that he's in is going to be an attraction. But we're certainly not looking to have a tune-up. You know, we've done the tune-ups last year. We've been big Liam Williams. And you know, beat Liam Williams, and we go on. You know, I said I wasn't convinced it had to be a world title fight because I think there's big domestic bust ups. You know, they're out there. You know, I mean, Liam Smith last week had a fantastic performance. You know, he could fight. You know, there's lots of different ones. It has to have that feeling of a big one, you know, and that's something that guides us. And the world title situation is at middleweight right now really is up in a bit of limbo because you've got Golovkin controlling 2 of the belts. Then there's sort of been an interim announced by the BO, which is very rare. That will probably turn into a full. Then you've got the BC Charlos obviously fighting against the Pole Solecki. So, you know, there's those belts right now. I mean, we're not going to fight for sort of a secondary belt or something like that. We will, but, you know, we're going to go for a belt. It's going to be the real belt, and that's it, you know. So it's like I said, it's always going to be for us about big fights and yeah, I think that we did well with the Liam Williams fight. It was a great event, built, you know, smash viewing figures, and you see then what an attraction Chris Eubank Jr. is. But I've always said in boxing, you can't make a fight if you can't find a dance partner. So if Brook don't want the fight, then that's a shame, but it is what it is, you know.
Something I wanted to ask you about, Kalle. We've seen KSI and Wasserman linked in the past on social media and things like that. KSI put out this teaser about returning to boxing a couple of days ago. So you guys engaging with it. I've seen Wasserman engaging with it. Anything you can tell us that we don't know?
Well, he tagged us in it. So, yeah. so no. Yeah, no. I mean, we announced a while back that we're launching Misfits Boxing. I saw, you know, I think the teaser done 3 million views, so 3.5 million views, I think, and counting. Let's put that into perspective. I think when Fury versus White was announced, I think it did about 400,000 views. So it's like 7 times the amount. Of course, completely all sorts of different demographics in there, but it's exciting, and it's a project that we've been working on a while, and we're getting ready for a big announcement on it. But yeah, that was a teaser. You know, I've always said I'm not the king of social media, that's for sure. when I get on it, I get told off. So I tend to. They always delete my apps in the office. You know, I always get my Instagram deleted. They won't let me near it. But no, I'm joking. But that's, I've also left that mantle in boxing to Eddie. He's fantastic at it. But at the same time, with him, obviously we have the absolute emperor, lord, and guru of social media. So I mean, when I saw the numbers, and normally I need social media numbers explained to me, but when I was told that it was, you know, close to 4 million views in 24 hours, I didn't really need much explanation on the demographics of that. That is any promoter's dream. So yeah, that's coming along nicely. We've got a partner, Mams Taylor, who's you know, sort of an absolute legend in terms of managing these characters, and JJ or KSI is such a great fella, and he's so into boxing. He trains every day. You know, he takes it super serious, even around his tours and stuff, and you know, all the activities he's doing. He trains every day. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun ride.
Indeed, fun ride it will be. As you said, I saw the numbers when the teaser went out. Absolutely mind-blowing, as always, with JJ. In terms of who he's fighting, is there anything you can tell us, or is that
by the
not
way, Misfits Boxing on Instagram, I think he's got around 6,000 followers. It hasn't posted yet. It's just baffling, but no, it's great. It's great.
As I was saying, Kalle, with KSI, is there anything you can tell us about who he's fighting?
No, I can't go into any detail there. I've signed too many NDAs. I get into too much trouble. No, joking aside, we're very close to announcing something very big. It's not just about a fight. It's something very big, and so I can't give away more than that. I think the teaser does justice to what we're allowed to say so far.
All right, Kalle. One person I want to ask you about, Tyson Fury. There's been a lot of talk, WBC reaching out to him this week to find out if he's really serious about retiring. Do you think Tyson Fury is serious about retiring?
No. I love, as everyone knows, I'm a big fan. I love him. But like, you've got to go back in heavyweight history, and Tyson, like I've said before, he came out of the sack a boxer. He was born a boxer, and he's also very much into his boxing history. And if you look in the past, how many heavyweight champions, they fight, they retire, they return. You know, I don't take it seriously for 1 second. And I know he's making that message now, and good on him, because that's what people like. And it's, by the way, it's a discussion point. You know, I was asked yesterday by a cabbie, and none of them said to me, what do you reckon about Tyson Fury? Is he retiring? I said, nah, not a chance, not a chance. And it's you know, people say, oh, he's not going to retire because of the money. I really don't think that, you know, Tyson, it's about the money. Of course, it's finances, and it's money, big money on the table. But he's not Mayweather type Tyson. You know, he's quite a simple fella, and you know, he's very much a family guy. He's a boxer. He's, by the way, he's getting better, and he knows it. And he hasn't fought everyone at heavyweight. He knows that as well, and he knows he's getting better fight to fight. I said after the last fight, I was quite critical after the Wilder fight, part 3, because I thought he made mistakes. He made some really stupid mistakes, actually. Made it really exciting, because after he blew him away in the second fight, so I had nothing left to prove. I was really not interested in the third fight. Obviously watched it, supported him, but he weren't good in the third fight. You know, that's why he let him in the door. He knows that. And then he puts on, you know, a masterclass like that, ending with a punch from the heavens. You know, he's getting better from every fight. That layoff between the second and the third Wilder fight did him no good. You know, if you look at the fantastic performance in the second Wilder fight, he'd come off a run of fights, yeah, and he's getting better. So, you know, I'm not going to use the expression like a fine wine, because he ain't that old. You know, he makes us think like he's some 45-year-old heavyweight champion who's been, you know, beaten 5 times. He's won back the belt. He's never been beaten. The man's never been beaten. He's getting better. Why would he stop? Why would he stop? For what reason? You know, he's fought arguably, which I think was more of a Bob Arum promotional point at the time, the biggest puncher of all time at heavyweight. I'm not buying that, but Wilder. So he crushed him in the second fight and won a thriller in the third fight. He won the first fight as well, by the way, and now he's beaten Dillian Whyte, who was a very, very legitimate challenger, as we all know. So, but there is there's that one out there, whether AJ wins or loses. Everyone still wants to see that fight. There's the Usyk fight, which intrigues anyone who likes boxing and is into strategy, because no one knows what strategy Tyson will turn up with for that fight. No one knows what strategy Usyk will turn up with that fight. That's enthralling, but not a chance. Not a chance. I'm not buying it for a second, Tyson. No. You are getting far too good in your old age. Yeah, the way he pulls the wool over our eyes with the old age. It's like, honestly, but I love it. It's all part of the show. It's all the same part as the singing in front of 94,000 fans after producing an uppercut that, just from the gods. From the gods. I actually thought the uppercut, the first time I saw it, without the replay, I thought it skipped. I thought it sort of missed him. And then you just saw it was one TV angle where you saw the impact, but it looked like I thought it sort of slid up the side of his face, and you just saw it. It was, and won't get too technical about it, but if you look at the like a footballer who takes a shot and can disguise it by not having a pullback on his leg before he strikes the ball, it's the same here. The uppercut, there's no downward motion before it comes straight up. There's no way he can see it. No way he can read it. Actually, Josh Taylor threw a very, very similar one in his unification fight, which was also a fantastic shot. But obviously, he got up. But yeah, this was absolute from the gods.
All right, Kalle, thank you very much for your time over in Germany today. Good luck with the show, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much
for that show in the O2 Indigo.
Take care, Ryan.